The checkout line at the grocery store was long, and the air was thick with the impatient sighs of a Tuesday afternoon. I was just trying to get through my shift, scanning items on autopilot, when he shuffled up to my register. He was an old man, easily in his late 80s, with a gentle stoop to his shoulders and hands that trembled slightly. He placed his items on the belt: a single can of chicken noodle soup, a small loaf of bread, and a single perfect red rose. I smiled and gave him the total. "That'll be $6.72. Sir?" He nodded, then reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small worn leather pouch. He tipped it over, and a cascade of coins, mostly pennies and dimes, spilled onto the counter. My heart sank a little. This was going to take a while. The man behind him let out an audible groan. The old man's face flushed with embarrassment, his hands shaking more noticeably as he began to separate the coins. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, his voice raspy with age. "My hands. They don't work like they used to." Something in his voice, a mix of apology and quiet dignity, cut through my end-of-shift fatigue. "No, please don't you worry at all," I said, my voice softer than I intended. "Take all the time you need. We can count it together." I started helping him, my fingers sorting quarters from nickels. The customer behind him huffed and switched to another lane. As we counted, I noticed the old man kept glancing at the red rose, a tender, almost reverent look in his eyes. Curiosity got the better of me. "That's a beautiful rose," I commented gently. A soft, sad smile touched his lips. "It's for my Eleanor," he said, his voice cracking just a bit. "Today's our anniversary. 60 years. My heart warmed instantly. 60 years. "Wow, that's incredible," I said. "She's a very lucky woman." He nodded, but his eyes clouded over. "She was," he corrected softly. "She passed away 5 years ago, but I still bring her a rose every Tuesday." It was our day. He explained that Tuesday was the day they had their first date, the day he proposed, and the day they got married. It was their special day, a tradition he refused to let go of. He finished his story just as we finished counting the last penny. It was exact, $6.72. I carefully bagged his groceries, placing the rose on top. "Thank you," he said, his eyes meeting mine. They were a clear, watery blue, and in them, I saw a lifetime of love and loss. He took his bag, gave me a small, grateful nod, and shuffled slowly toward the exit. I watched him go, a lump forming in my throat. I couldn't shake the image of him alone, holding that single rose. The world suddenly felt a little colder, a little emptier. Then, a thought struck me, a memory from my own childhood. My grandpa, after my grandma passed, would buy her favorite flowers every week and place them on her empty seat at the dinner table. The quiet ritual was his way of keeping her close. Seeing this man, I saw my grandpa's same unwavering devotion. It wasn't just a habit. It was a testament to a love that time couldn't diminish. His small pouch of coins wasn't a sign of poverty, but a measure of his effort, a physical representation of his determination to keep his promise. Impulsively, I called my manager over. "Can you cover my register for a few minutes? It's an emergency." Before she could even answer, I was untying my apron and rushing out the automatic doors. I spotted him halfway across the parking lot, walking slowly, head bowed against the wind. Sir, wait!" I called out, jogging to catch up. He turned, a look of confusion on his face. When I reached him, I was out of breath, both from the run and the emotion welling up inside me. I forgot to give you something," I stammered, fumbling in my pocket. I pulled out a $20 bill, my tip money from the day. "For next week's rose," I said, pressing it into his trembling hand. "And the week after that. And the one after that." His eyes widened, and he tried to refuse, shaking his head. "Oh no, I couldn't possibly ... double quotes, but I insisted, closing his fingers around the bill. "Please," I said, my voice thick. "My grandpa ... used to do the same for my grandma. It's important." He looked down at the money in his hand, then back up at me. His watery blue eyes overflowed, and a single tear traced a path down his wrinkled cheek. He didn't say anything. He just pulled me into a gentle, surprising hug. He smelled of old books and wintergreen. It was a hug that felt like it held 60 years of love, of memories, of a promise kept. It was one of the most profound moments of my life. We stood there for a moment in the middle of the parking lot, two strangers connected by an unspoken understanding of love and loyalty. He finally pulled back, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice full of an emotion I couldn't name. "Thank you, young lady. You have a good heart. Eleanor would have loved you." He gave my hand a final squeeze and then continued on his way, walking a little taller now, his grip on the bag with the rose a little firmer. I watched him until he turned the corner, the red of the rose a vibrant splash of color against the gray afternoon. I stood there for a long time, the cold wind on my face, and I just cried. They weren't sad tears. They were tears of awe, of gratitude. Tears for the beauty of a love that could outlast life itself. In a world that often feels rushed and disconnected, this old man and his pouch of coins had reminded me what truly matters. That simple purchase, that quiet act of devotion, changed me. It taught me that the greatest treasures aren't measured in dollars, but in the love we give and the promises we keep. It's a lesson I'll carry with me forever. So next time you see someone taking a little longer or paying with a handful of change, maybe offer them a smile instead of a sigh. You never know the beautiful, heartbreaking, or inspiring story they might be leaving. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking and subscribing for more. See you next time.